He was here the whole time. His stardom confirmed.
Scotty Scheffler winning the Masters. He was the favorite to win it, so if you had bet the field, it would not have worked out for you. Normally it would, but not this time. Scotty Scheffler wins the Masters with a 4-under 68 and 11 under for the tournament. 4 strokes ahead of second place, just the second major win of Scheffler's career. But they've come at the Masters 2 of the last 3 years. He's won the green jacket. He won it in 2022. And he is 27 years old. He's the 4th youngest golfer to win multiple green jackets, winning his second title in just 5 starts at Augusta. Scheffler's wife, Meredith, who is by his side at every tournament on the PGA Tour schedule, is due to give birth to the couple's first child any week now. As such, she chose to forego traveling to Augusta, Georgia for the first major championship of the year. While it did not ultimately factor, Scheffler repeatedly stated throughout the week that he would withdraw from the Masters if called upon by his wife to return for the birth of their child. So if it was midway through the final round yesterday, he would have withdrawn and gone to be with his wife to have their first child, which, you know, that's called priorities, family first. But his wife decided not to have the baby yet, and he wins the Masters, and Mama's got to be happy with the money he's going to bring home. Scotty Scheffler winning the Masters.
He was here the whole time.
Okay. Well, of course, Jim Nance needs to
He was here the whole
chime
time.
in. He was here the whole time. There we go.
It's hard to put into words how special this is. It's been a long week, a grind of a week. The golf course was so challenging, and to be sitting here wearing this jacket again and getting to take it home is extremely special. The best momentum turner that I had today was the birdie putt on 8. You know, I had 2 really good shots in there along the green. I had an extremely difficult pitch that I hit up there about 10, 12 feet from the cup, and it was a challenging read because it turned early and it was really straight at the end. So it was a putt that you really had to start on line and hope it held its line. And I poured that one in, and then it kind of gave me some good momentum, and I used that to birdie 9 and 10, and keep pushing because I knew there was birdies out there on the back 9. I had a lot of really talented players trying to chase me down, and I knew pars weren't going to get it done.
So that is, or should be, the face of golf right now. He's the number 1 golfer in the world. He's been dominant recently, been dominant the last few years, and now he wins the Masters yet again. He's only 27, and now he's going to be a father to be. So everything is coming up roses for Scotty Scheffler as he is your 2024 Masters champion. Welcome to the Sports Ticket, brought to you by Kiefer Brothers Automotive in Beloit, your home for fast, friendly auto repair. Coming up, more local sports information. The Royals' 7-game winning streak comes to an end. The NBA regular season coming to a close yesterday. The play-in tournament set to begin tomorrow. We'll go through the NBA playoff bracket coming up in just a little bit, but we throw it to Dusty for local sports.
Yeah, some things that happened over the weekend. The Beloit softball team was at the Sunflower League Festival out in the Kansas City area as they went 1-2 overall on the weekend. They're now 8-3 overall in the season. On Friday, they lost to Gardner Edgerton 10-0 in 5, and then Saturday played Shawnee Mission Northwest, a 15-8 loss in that game, and then they did beat Olathe East to wrap up the tournament or the weekend, a 7-5 win there for Beloit over Olathe East. So again, all 6A schools that they were facing this weekend, and they go 1-2. So obviously probably learned a lot about their team as well during that trip in the Kansas City Metro. High school baseball on Friday, Beloit splitting with Concordia. Concordia winning 4-1 in game 1, and Beloit taking the second game 4-2. The Trojans now 6-4 on the season, and they're back at it this afternoon. They have a doubleheader at Ellenwood starting at 4 o'clock today for the Beloit baseball team. So that's a look at baseball and softball. Track and field on Friday, the Hill City Invitational, as individual gold medal winners Madison Howland of Smith Center took first in both the 1600 and 3200, continuing her great freshman season that started at cross country and is continuing on here in track and field. And then on the boys' side, individual gold medal winners Mason Baker in the 400 for Thunder Ridge and Gavin Hickert of Smith Center in the 3200. You can find full results at ncksports.com. Also, a couple All-Star games held this weekend in basketball. Cloud County Thunderbird All-Star games on Sunday at 11 area athletes competing there. The black team defeated the gold in the girls game 86-43. Dakota Kattenberg of Smith Center, Cam Ritzke of Thunder Ridge. Cam actually had the most points from our area. She was in double figures with 11. And also Jenna and Aubrey Gangler of St. John's were on that winning team. Peyton Remus of Beloit and Carly Colgren of Concordia played on the gold team there in the loss. And then the boys game, much closer. The gold team won 76-71 over the black squad, which featured Bryce Beisner of Beloit, who added 17 points, a team high for him, and Quinn Eilert of Beloit played as well, along with Peyton Brees, Joey Henderson, and Jonathan Turner of Concordia there in Sunday's games. So we'll have the box scores posted once we have a chance to get those on ncksports.com, as we just got all the scoring information here this morning. Also, Saturday, 3 Osborne players and Bulldog coach Jason Wilson participated in the Western Kansas All-Star Games in Colby. In the girls' game, Gracie Reiner scored 33 points to lead her team to an 89-29 win. And in the boys' contest, Johnny Himmel of Osborne scored 30. Aiden Conrad of the Bulldogs also played. Their team fell 93-79. Coach Wilson was the head coach for both squads there that featured Osborne All-Stars in Colby on Saturday. And I'm efforting to get more info. I might have more info on that. And if we do, we'll post that as well at NCKSports.com. So that's a look at what happened over the weekend. Again, today, as we mentioned, Beloit at Ellenwood Baseball, and also Beloit Golf is at Republic County this morning, starting at 11 o'clock and throughout the afternoon, as well as Concordia and Smith Center also competing from the area there. And the Osborne Golf team will be at the Plainville Invitational this afternoon at 3 o'clock. So that's what's going on today. You can always find all the latest schedules at ncksports.com. All of those baseball and softball schedules updated. Standings are there. Whatever you might need from spring sports, ncksports.com.
Coming up in 30 seconds, take a look at the Royals.
I'm Elijah at Kiever Brothers Automotive in Beloit. Did you know that we sell tires? We also perform alignments and all the other services that go along with them. We handle all the top brands. Extras like road hazard warranty, complimentary tire rotations, and complimentary tire repairs are available for purchase on most tires. Right now, we are offering $80 off when you buy a set of 4. Call or stop by Kiever Brothers Automotive for fast, friendly tire services today. Find us just south of the courthouse in Beloit or on the web at KieverBrothers.com.
2-1 New York, 9th inning. And Vermain popped it up. Alonso tracking it. He's calling, and he makes the catch, and the ball game is over.
And that's how it ended as the Royals lose to the Mets. They lose 2 out of 3 to the Mets. The Royals now come down to earth. They will not win 156 games. Darn it. I thought they might. But they are now 10-6. And the newest member of the Zach Greinke Royals pitching club, the new Zach Greinke, is Cole Reagans. Cole Reagans, another quality start, 6 scoreless innings, 8 strikeouts. Once again, didn't get any run support. Chris Stratton in relief took the loss. He's 1-1 after giving up the 2 runs. There, late in the game, Vinny Pasquantino had a solo homer in the top of the 9th, but that's all the offense the Royals would get. They lose 2-1. It was scoreless after 7.5. But 2 runs on 4 walks, infield single on the bottom of the 8th was that was ultimately the deciding factors in a 2-1 loss. The Royals lost the first game of the series, won the middle game of the series 11-7. They're off to Chicago, take on the White Sox to start a 3-game series. White Sox are 2-13. Seth Lugo 2-0 with ERA at 1.45. Will start for the Royals against Eric Fedde of the White Sox. First pitch 6:40 this evening. Royals likely to be without Salvador Perez, who is being labeled a groin strain. When he covered the plate to finish an inning double play in the 4th, he'll be further evaluated today. Groins and hamstrings can linger, and I would imagine that Salvia will be shut down for a while, and that's a big blow for the Royals, but they do have other guys that are capable offensively, and the pitching's been fantastic, but then how does it affect how you call games? Because catchers do more than just hit the ball and catch the ball. They help call the game as well. So any thoughts on the Royals?
Hey, it's going like you would expect it to, right? Like the 7-game winning streak was fun, but they're going to have some spots where they're going to fall back and not hit as well and play some pitchers that are pitching pretty well, and that's kind of what they saw in New York. So not concerned about anything. It was a nice series. Pitching's still right where I think it needs to be, other than the Saturday game. Obviously, it was a hitter's game, but it's nothing crazy stood out to me over the weekend anyway. It was kind of what I kind of expected going back on the road, and yeah.
Walker, 2 of the 3 starters did not pitch well. Walker didn't pitch well the first game, and then Marsh, after early bumps, he settled in a little bit. But as you said, that was a high-scoring game that the Royals won 11-7, and then yesterday Reagans had the best performance of the 3 games, and the Royals lose 2-1. So, you're going to have your ups and downs. That's why it's a marathon, not a sprint. And the Royals are 10-6, and that's a lot better than a lot of people thought they would be, especially when they start a year 0-2. The NBA regular season coming to a close yesterday. The play-in tournament is set to begin tomorrow night in the Western Conference. The 7-seed Pelicans will host the 8-seed Lakers. at 6:30. I'm going to have you tip that microphone down again for me, would you? Awesome. The 7-seed Pelicans will host the 8-seed Lakers at 6:30, and the 10-seed Warriors will be against the 9-seed Kings at 9 o'clock. And the Warriors and Kings had an unbelievable 7-game series last year, and now they couldn't even make it in the top 8. That's how tough the West is. And the Lakers have owned the Pelicans so far this year, so the Lakers will be a favorite. Lakers have 2 chances to get in. The Kings and the Warriors have got a lot of work to do. The Pelicans and Lakers have the 2 chances to get in there as a 7 and 8. So if you lose the first one, not the end of the world. You could still make it into the 8-team bracket. But if you're the Warriors and the Kings, you are in a must-win situation. And that'll be tomorrow night. That'll be quite the interesting game. And, you know, if you believe in things being rigged, you would assume the Lakers and Warriors will win.
Yeah. I don't believe in things being rigged, but yeah, that would be what you would assume.
Yeah, absolutely. The Eastern Conference play-in games start on Wednesday. The 7-seed 76ers, a dangerous team hosting the 8-seed Heat. What an amazing play-in game that is. 10-seed Hawks will be on the road to take on the 9-seed Bulls. So here is the full bracket in the NBA. The Thunder got the number 1 seed in the Western Conference thanks to the Nuggets blowing it against the Spurs. Spurs were down 23, came back and won. Devontae Graham, former Jayhawk, at the game winner, and that cost the Nuggets the number 1 seed. The Thunder are the 1 seed, 57-25. The Nuggets lost the tiebreaker. They're 2 seed, 57-25. So the Thunder will play... let's see here. How will this work? It's always a little bit confusing to me. But the Thunder will play either the Kings, Warriors, Pelicans, or Lakers. The Nuggets are the 2 seed. So, for instance, if the Lakers win, they will automatically move up from an 8 to a 7. If they beat the Pelicans, the Lakers would play the Nuggets in the first round. A rematch of the Western Conference Finals a year ago, the Nuggets swept. Nuggets have beaten the Lakers 8 straight times. Wow. How about that for a first-round series? If the Lakers win tomorrow, they will play the Nuggets. If the Pelicans win, they'll play the Nuggets. And then the Kings, Warriors, the loser's out. The winner would play the loser of the Pelicans, Lakers. So there's a chance the Lakers could still, or the Warriors could play the Thunder in the first round. Mm-hmm. That's a possibility. The 4-5 matchup, the Clippers versus the Mavericks. The 3-6, the Timberwolves versus the Suns, which is very interesting because the Suns are built for the playoffs. I mean, this is what they bought these guys for, or shall I say, they have Durant, they have Booker, they brought in Bradley Beal. This is what the Suns are supposed to be all about, and they will be the 6th seed against the Timberwolves. Who do you like in the West? You still like the Nuggets to repeat?
It's tough.
This is a tough conference, man.
I like it. It's like you want to believe in some of these younger teams that have the higher seeds, and it's like, you look what happened to the Kings last year, right? Like they got there, but that really wasn't who they were once they got to the playoffs because other teams weren't giving all full max effort during the regular season. Mm-hmm. That's just the way it is right now. Mm-hmm. You know, back in the 90s, you knew those teams that were at the top were at the top for a reason. And I'm going to say Denver. I'm just going to stick on them because I just don't know who else, right? I would argue they have the best player in the league. Absolutely. That's a good start. And they've obviously battle tested what they did last year, but it's usually very hard to repeat. Although NBA's had a lot of repeats and three-peats, although not recently. I definitely don't feel as confident as I did last year, right? Like I said from day one the season started last year that Denver was going to win it. They play the Lakers. I think they'll win the series, but I think that could really extend the Nuggets. And the T-Wolves and the Suns, the Nuggets could play the Suns in the second round. I mean, the T-Wolves are good. Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns. The Suns, of course, got some firepower. It's a tough draw for the Nuggets. I think they got the worst of the draw, no doubt. Do you like the Suns or the T-Wolves? I think everybody's going to pick the Suns. I'm probably going to pick the Suns just because of experience. I'm cheering for the T-Wolves big time. Mavericks and Clippers. That's a very interesting series. The Clippers always seem to flame out, but Doc Rivers isn't their coach. So they got James Harden, and James Harden is rock solid in the playoffs, especially in Game 7s. I'm gonna go crazy here. I'm gonna say the Mavericks get it done. I was gonna pick Dallas too. All right, and then that would mean they would take on possibly the Thunder, but we don't know who the 8th seed will be. So I think it will be the Thunder and the Nuggets. I think the Thunder are gonna win. You think their first round series, no matter who they play? Okay, I'm not. So you think if the Thunder and the Lakers, you think the Thunder beat the Lakers? I do. Okay, I hope so. The Lakers have all the experience in the world, and the Thunder don't. See, I don't know. I'm not so confident about that one. But I think that if they're the Thunder, you just don't want to see the Lakers. I mean, the Warriors aren't what they were.
If the Lakers are at full strength, I don't see. If I'm a Thunder inexperienced team, I just don't like that matchup. You take the Pelicans, okay, they're talented. You can live with that one. The Kings, they're talented. Everybody's talented. But who do you got in Western Conference Finals then? Nuggets and Mavericks? Has to be Mavericks. You don't take the Thunder.
No, if they play the Mavericks, I'd pick the Thunder too. So I would say Nuggets Thunder.
Okay,
yeah.
That's what I'm going with.
Yeah, and Nuggets winning.
Chalk, except for the Nuggets winning there.
But I don't feel comfortable in that at all. Like, there's nothing about this bracket that makes me feel comfortable about who I'm picking.
The West is wide open. The East, it should be a formality that Celtics are the ones that come out of the East, but we've seen teams with the best record in the East the last, the Bucks been a 1 seed and lost.
Mm-hmm.
So the Celtics are 64-18, which was 14 wins better than the next best team, the Knicks, who shot up all the way to the 2 spot. 50-32. Jalen Brunson's had a huge year. So the Celtics will take on either the Bulls or the Hawks or the Sixers or the Heat. The Knicks will get either the Sixers, Heat, or Bulls and Hawks as well. But they'll get either the Sixers or the Heat. So the Sixers and the Heat, that's a heck of a game coming up later this week. Embiid is back, so they're not your typical 7 seed. The Heat aren't your typical 8, as we always know, and they made it to the NBA Finals, was that last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, against the Nuggets. So the Heat tend to bring it in postseason play. Heat and Sixers. The Knicks got to play one of those 2 teams in the first round. That is a tough draw for the Knicks. Who do you like, Sixers, Heat?
Play-in. I'm gonna pick Miami to win that.
You have to, don't you? Based on previous history. I mean, the Sixers always, man. But either way, it'd be a tough matchup for the Knicks. Now, the Sixers and Heat have 2 chances to get in. So the loser Sixers Heat would take on the winner of the Bulls Hawks. So I think the Heat and the Sixers will both get in.
Both those teams are going to make it, yeah.
My prediction would be the Heat will take on the Knicks, and the Sixers will play the Celtics.
Not what you want in the first round.
No. Celtics usually have the Sixers number when it comes to the playoffs, too.
I would say if the Sixers win, I don't like the Knicks in the first round.
I agree with you. I think if the Sixers win against the Heat, the Sixers are in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
Because the Bucks and Pacers, the Bucks are not as good as last year. This is all about Dame Lillard now. And Giannis has been hurt. And remember, he got hurt last year, and it cost the Bucks dearly. So, and I don't think he's 100% now. This is what you gave up everything for, is for Dame time. That's what it's called, right? Dame time. If Dame is the superstar everybody says he is, then this is his chance to prove himself, because Portland didn't have a lot of opportunities. And I said when the trade was happened and Drew Holiday then was going to be gone, that the Bucks actually got worse overall. Offensively better, overall worse, defensively much worse. And that's been true. So the Bucks play the Pacers, and the Pacers have had the Bucks number this year, and the Pacers get up and down. It's not a good matchup for the Bucks. So I could easily see the Pacers knocking out the Bucks. And remember, Mike Budenholzer was the problem. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Now Doc Rivers is their coach. Wow, good luck with that. So I got the Pacers beating the Bucks. So the Pacers then could play the Sixers, because you said the Sixers, if they beat the Heat, then the Sixers beat the Knicks. I think the Sixers got a great, if they beat the Heat, I think the Sixers have a great chance of being in the Eastern Conference Finals against, I would imagine, the Celtics, because the Cavs and the Magic are the 4-5 matchup. And I mean, Magic are young and up and coming, but no experience in the playoffs. The Cavs should win that series, but Donovan Mitchell's been banged up. Dean Wade will ride in and save the day, I'm sure. But who do you like, Cavs, Magic?
I honestly have no idea about those 2 teams. I'm going to pick the Cavs if Mitchell's
if he's healthy.
There and healthy.
I got Pacers over Bucks. Do you agree with that?
If Giannis isn't 100%, I agree with that.
And then it just matters on the play-in games.
Yeah.
So you like the Celtics to come out of the East then?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They got to just collapse, in my opinion.
I agree, because
so
the Bucks are down.
Yeah,
the Bucks aren't as good as they were, and the Sixers haven't had him beat all year long. And, honestly, the toughest matchup for the Celtics in this entire bracket would be the Heat.
Yeah.
Who beat them last year. And if the Heat lose to the Sixers, but then beat the Bulls or the Hawks, guess who the Celtics hit first round?
Heat.
The toughest matchup for the Celtics could be the first round. That's insane. So think about that for a second. The Sixers win, they play the Knicks, and the Heat could possibly go up and play the Celtics. That's 2 very tough matchups for the top 2 seeds in the East. Otherwise, I think the Knicks and the Celtics would be okay if they would face them. Knicks Heat would still be tough for the Knicks, but the Celtics got to be sitting there going, please don't give us the Heat.
Yeah.
Anybody but the Heat.
Teams that
And the Heat have beaten one seeds.
Expected to be way better than they were, but had to deal with some things. And obviously, the Sixers with Embiid being injured, there's no. In a normal year, there's no chance they're a 7th seed. But
so we going Celtics Nuggets in the finals? That's what people thought it was going to be last year, but it wasn't. Celtics Nuggets in the finals. Okay, we'll go with it. So that's a look at the NBA playoff bracket. If you care about the NBA, around here, I don't know how many people really care about the NBA, but
I'm thinking that Magic Cavs series is not going to have good ratings.
No,
I think.
No.
Put those games.
The whole
on
town
NBA
of St.
TV.
John will be watching.
Yeah, they will.
St. John, Kansas. Actually, they probably won't. Because, the NBA is just not. The NBA, listen, the NBA is way better in the playoffs than it is during the regular season because everybody actually tries, I think, and cares. The officiating can still be loosey-goosey in regards to allowing them to play, and it can be super physical and allow travels, and there's no 3-second violations anymore. I don't know why that's even in the rule book. I don't even know why they worry about, there's a thing called carrying the ball, palming the ball.
Hardly
that's
any
not
3-second violations at any level anymore.
I agree with that. So take it for what it's worth, I guess. But the NBA, I used to watch it a lot. Obviously, when Jordan played, I was big into it. Kobe and Shaq, I was cheering against the Lakers, whoever they played against, and so I watched that. The Warriors, Cavs, I liked that for a while until it kind of became the same thing all the time, as you've pointed out before on the show. I like the Nuggets. The Thunder are my favorite NBA team, although I'm not going to lie to you, I haven't followed it super closely. Just slightly more than the Kraken, and that's close. And I wear all kinds of Kraken gear. I got 1 or 2 Thunder shirts. But, I'm not getting super excited about the playoffs, the NBA playoffs, but I was talking with somebody the other day about, do you actually... when was the last time you watched an NBA game? And I said, well, I've watched bits and pieces. They said, no. When was the last time you watched an entire NBA game? And I said, Michael Jordan. That was the last time I watched a game from opening tip. Seriously, I can't remember the last opening tip I've seen in an NBA game. Because usually I'm flipping around and I happen to catch the game in progress. It could be first, second quarter. If it's first, second quarter, I usually flip to something else. If it's in the second half, then I usually might watch a little bit more. If it's a good game, I might watch a little longer. But I have not been in NBA nearly as much as I've been in past years. But the last few years, my interest in NBA has continued to wane. And even though the Thunder are starting to be really good, they're not my diehard team. They're my favorite team, but they're my diehard team where I just live and die with them, like the Chiefs and the Royals and other teams. So, I don't know how many people feel that way about the NBA, but there are people that say, hey, listen, the game has gotten worse. It's, tons of scoring. There's no defense. It's basically dunks or three-pointers. There's not much mid-range game. Guys don't try. Guys sit out. Load management. They got an owie. They don't play. So forth and so on. They're prima donnas. That's something they said about these games for a long time. But when I was asked the question, when was the last time I watched an NBA game from start to finish? Listen, when the Bulls played, I did sit down. And I only got up during commercial breaks. Because, one, I wanted to see what Jordan would do. He was my favorite player, like most people. And I watched from the opening tip when Bill Cartwright would tip off, or Bill Winnington, whoever it was, and I watched the whole game. Think about that. That was 1998 was the last year Jordan was with the Bulls. So I have not watched an NBA game in its entirety in 26 years. And it didn't even dawn on me until I was asked that question. When was the last time you watched an NBA game? Like, oh, not too long ago. No. When did you watch an entire NBA game? And I'm a big sports fan. 26 years. Oh, actually, I take that back. Recently, about a year ago, I went to a Thunder game.
So you've
in person,
been there. Yeah.
In person. But in regards to what TV, they said, they meant on TV. When was the last time you watched an entire NBA game on TV? 26 years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've been to 3 in person since Jordan played with the Bulls. Right?
And I've been
I watched his last game in Denver, actually. I saw him play in person.
Actually, I've been to about 5 Thunder games. I've been to a Spurs game, believe it or not. And I've been to a Nuggets game once or twice. And I'm trying to think if there's any other NBA games. So I've been to a few, not very many.
And I've been to 2 Spurs playoff games. One was on the road to Memphis and one was in San Antonio. But NBA Finals games, I think I watched every game last year, the Finals.
Did you watch it from opening tip?
I really think I did, because I was very intrigued by what the Nuggets could do. Mm-hmm. There may have been one that I was doing some stuff with 8-man football or something like that I might not have caught, but the whole game. But I would say the last game I watched from start to finish was the first game the Spurs played this year.
Yeah, because
I wanted to watch Wemby's first game, and I wanted to see the start to finish thing. Kind of like when LeBron started his career, I did watch that game start to finish. And so, yeah, those are the kind of those things that stand out. you want to see them and see what's going to happen. I've watched parts of plenty of Spurs games this year if they were on TV, but that's the only one I actually watched from start to finish.
Mm-hmm. So I guess what we're trying to say is we're not big NBA
It's not.
fans.
No, I'm not. And listen, when my team's not as good, I don't watch the regular season. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many reasons to not watch the regular season in the NBA. Whether it's what you're talking about with load management, or it's just like they're not trying as hard and things like that. The games just don't mean as much, obviously. And then when the Celtics have this big of a lead toward the end of the year, they just were not really putting out the effort that they needed to, or that they could have, because they didn't need to.
Right.
There's games they should have won that they lost here down the stretch, but that's not going to happen when the playoffs start. Obviously, these teams actually go out and give everything they have, or they should anyway. And most of the time they do at this time of year.
Listen, I think the thing that's exciting to me about the NBA playoffs is I can't wait for Harden to flame out. I mean, I'm excited about that. I'm also, I will say too about the NBA, no lead is safe anymore. The Celtics had a 30-point lead in a game and blew it. And that's the best team in the NBA record-wise. If they can do it, anybody can do it. The Nuggets had everything to play for, blew a 23-point lead at San Antonio. Spurs had nothing to play for and treated it like a playoff game. They were going nuts.
To win that game, yeah.
And they were going nuts like it was their Super Bowl, which is cool. It's glad that you still play hard, and they're a younger team. That's important. The Spurs are a team to watch out for in the future, no doubt. There's a lot of really good young teams. The Thunder, obviously, the Pacers, the Spurs, I think. Listen, I think the Lakers are on their last legs. I think there's some other teams that are on their last legs. The Lakers and the Warriors are on their last legs.
As they're built right now, they're
about
the
ready to be
Warriors
done.
Definitely past their last legs. I don't think this is a team that can win anything significant.
No, I don't either. And the Pelicans are a younger team that I think could be a factor for a while. I think the best young teams are mostly in the West, although the East, the Pacers are a good team that is young. The Magic apparently have coming on. I don't know much about the Magic. They've just kind of come out of nowhere, but they've really drafted well. So, but yeah, I don't really get excited about the NBA playoffs right now. I get maybe more excited when we get to the Western Conference Finals, because I like the Western Conference, watching them more than the Eastern Conference typically. There's more intrigue to me in the Western Conference, but at the end of the day, I like whoever wins. I just haven't fully been able to get into it as much, and that's because I don't have that. I lived and died the Bulls, man. I lived and died Jordan, and LeBron's great and all, and I respect him, and I enjoy watching him, but I've never been that type of fan for LeBron. I had my Jordan, and that was enough.
Yeah, I think a lot of these things and across all levels of sports, as far as your interest in them as a whole entity. Mm-hmm. Are more when you're younger. Like when you're a kid, you see all these studs and stars, and you want to be like them, and you want to do that, and then you pick a team. If you pick a team, something like a lot of the kids in this era of the LeBron era were picking a player. Like they were LeBron fans, they're Carmelo fans, they're KD fans. They just travel wherever they go. They're a fan of that team because that's where their player's at. Mm-hmm. I think it was a bit different for us. Like I was a Bulls fan, but I was not a Wizards fan ever. Mm-hmm. Like it just never happened. I was obviously Michael Jordan was my guy, and he was your guy too. Yeah. And so, but I think as you get older, you kind of start like not caring as much about the other teams that are in it, but you still care about your own team. Mm-hmm. Like as I've gotten older, I've not watched as much NFL. I've not watched as much. I've hardly ever watched baseball anyway. When I was growing up, NBA is probably at the top of the list though. Like I really liked it. No matter who was in the finals, I was going to be watching it. Right. And I still do that to an extent. I still watch the finals, but I don't watch and get all involved in all of the playoffs like I did when I was growing up as a kid and seeing all those games. And I think part of that too is like I didn't have access to all of it either, so I wanted to watch it whenever I could because we didn't have cable. So.
Right. And I think that's a part of it too is as you get older, you have more responsibilities. You have a lot more going on in your life. You probably understand that there are bigger things in life than certain things, right? Like your team can't, oh my God, my team lost in the Western Conference Finals. Well, okay, whatever. Is that going to change your life? Probably not.
No.
So there's a little bit more of a better perspective probably on things as you get older. Not everybody, but I think a majority would be that. And you have distractions. You have a lot of things going on. You have kids possibly. You're chasing after them, whatever they're doing, and who knows what else is happening in your work life and so forth and so on. And as you're younger, and I will say too, I think with having all the access to instant highlights and instant updates, you don't feel like you have to watch as much because the most exciting part you're going to see later anyway. Like I saw Christian Brown's dunk the other day. Holy shnikes. Former Jayhawk against Rudy Gobert. Did you see that,
Yeah.
Doc? He changed in midair from right to left and jammed it. It's like, holy cow, white men can jump. That was insane. And guess what? I didn't watch any of the game.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
I got the most important highlight.
Yeah.
And I know who won. And yay, awesome, fun. But don't feel like I missed anything.
No.
What happened up to that point? Don't care. Great dunk, amazing. And then guess what? You go to the water cooler. Man, you remember, what do you think of that second quarter between the Nuggets and T-Wolves? Is that what they're talking about at the water cooler? No. Did you see Brown slamming Gobert's face? Yeah, I did. And you act like you watched the whole game.
Yeah.
And that was the only highlight you saw. So we get that instant gratification, which is not a bad thing because maybe we get more things done as people if we're not glued to a TV screen, although now people are just glued to their phones.
We're seeing that on our phone,
right?
And so we're always on.
We're not
that's,
watching
that's
the games.
Why we
we're just
see
checking everything else
because we're always on.
Right.
It. That's the
true.
instant gratification. You're not getting more done. No. I'm not.
No, it's true.
I mean, it's the other way.
It could
for
be
me.
even worse.
Yeah, it is for me. It's like I'm not sitting there watching a 30-minute highlight show on SportsCenter, but I am watching my phone for an hour straight.
Yeah, right. That's true.
I'm just like scrolling through Twitter or I'm doing whatever.
Yeah.
I do so much, even like stuff on like movies. Sometimes I'll watch on my phone because I can speed it up and get through more of them.
I watch shows on my phone because sometimes it's quicker to just pull it up on my phone, put my AirPods in. Nobody has to bother me while the kids are screaming. I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't get on a big screen, but at least I can hear the dang show.
Yeah,
instead of my kids screaming and yelling, I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah,
right. Or I go outside and I can watch on my phone. I got portable TV. So, I'm with
you got an internet connection, you can do anything anywhere, and that's
absolutely
that's, worse than what it was when we were kids.
No question. Hey, listen,
growing up.
Back in the day, and this tells you how old Dusty and I are, back in the day, we had 3 channels, and when the president was on, your night was shot.
On all of them.
That's the
one of them was the public broadcasting.
Yeah, we didn't even
network.
have. Guess what? It was. I didn't. When I grew up, we had CBS and NBC, and we had PBS. We didn't even have ABC. Fox wasn't even in existence at that time. That's how old we are. So I had 2 channels and PBS is really what I had, and you did too. And then when the president, it's the old Jeff Foxworthy joke. And when the president was on, my night was shot.
Yeah.
But we also had one TV in the house. We only had one TV in the house. It was in the living room. It was a big old box TV, right? Heavier than heck. And it's the tube, the old TV tube, as they called it. What's on the tube? And young people are going, what do you mean tube?
What's the tube?
You mean the flat screen? An LED, whatever else? But no, we had, so if Dad was watching a Western and I wanted to watch my favorite sports game, I was out of luck. And there was nothing on my phone to tell me anything. I didn't even have a phone at that time because I was poor, or they didn't want to get me one. And although it wasn't that big a deal, cell phones back then, some of those were bigger than your head. But he would, if he was watching Western, that was too bad. And if I was glued to a ball game and my dad came in and wanted to watch a Western and I was glued to the game, he never put up a stink like, "Come on, boy, it's been a long day. Get off the tube so I can watch some John Wayne." "Dad, it's the 4th quarter." "Don't care. I own this place." He never acted that way. It was like, okay, I'm watching my thing. He let me watch my thing. And then maybe he'd watch a Western. Mom usually would watch, when Dad was out, she would watch her soaps or Price is Right. That was the big one, I think. And the soaps, Young and the Restless and whatever else. And so I never really was worried about watching at that time because I'd either been in school or I was outside playing, which I know is an insane concept for young people nowadays. Going out and feeling the sun. Oh no, I'll get sunburned. I better go watch my phone. But you're right. Like, you didn't have as many options when you were younger, so it forced you either to go outside or do some different things. But especially if you only had one TV. One TV. It's like, okay, sis wants to watch the Saved by the Bell, but Mom wants to watch soap opera, and Dad wants to watch a Western, and I want to watch the game. It's like, well, 3 people aren't going to be happy here.
Think about, we were talking the other day, I was talking the other day about siblings day too, right? And if you're the oldest or the youngest, I was the last on the pecking order of deciding what we were going to watch on TV because I was the youngest.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't get to choose that.
That's true.
We also knew for a fact if we were watching something at 10 o'clock on the TV at 10 o'clock at night, you weren't watching anything for about 15 to 20 minutes until the weather came on, and it was done.
Yeah, you had to get
the weather. Was done
yeah.
because you didn't have phones to get that. You
That's
didn't have
right.
internet to go find that. The news is where you found the weather.
Pretty much.
And as a farmer, you want to know what the weather's going to be.
Right.
So Dad always had to have the weather on the 10 o'clock newscast.
My parents still do that.
And My dad does too. Even though he looks it up all day long on his phone, he still watches the weather.
My mom has a state-of-the-art phone, and she doesn't know how to run 80% of it, which I think a lot of people that way. And I bet you I can't. I probably got 50% of my features I don't even know how to use either. But it's like, what's the weather going to be? And it's like, Mom, you don't have to wait till 10:15 to watch the local news. I'm sure they appreciate you watching, but you could just pull it up on your weather app here, and boom, it tells you everything. They give you hourly for your town. You don't have to watch the KSN news to go, well, and now look at your weather in your area.
Yeah.
What do you mean my area? Well, I already got it on my phone. I don't need to know what's happening in Leota, Kansas.
Even back in the day, they didn't even do the area. They just had they had a map that might have like haze on it or something like that, but that's all they had. They didn't say, here's the weather in your area.
They didn't.
You've heard what was going on in Wichita.
Oh, yeah. It's 83 in Wichita, and I'm like, I'm 2.5 hours or 3.5 hours from Wichita. Is it going to be 83 in Wichita? Does that mean it's going to be 83 out here? You didn't know. You just kind of like,
just had to guess. It's probably going to be close to what haze is, so we'll just go what's on that map for haze.
They had the map, and they had like, the only way you knew you were a lot colder is they had the map, and like, here's Colby, 54, and there's a jet stream with a low coming in, and in Wichita, 82, Hutch, 73, Salina, 68, and you're like, what about Western Kansas? Oh, they throw in Hays and Colby. That'd be it. So you're like, oh, Colby, 53. Well, I guess we're somewhere between 54 and 83.
How to read a map,
right? Yeah. Like, where's Trigo County here? Oh, they changed it. I can't rewind it because we didn't have that either. We couldn't DVR it, rewind it. Hey, what county are we? We're 4 over from the top and 3 over from the left and 3 down, 4 over, 3 down, or whatever it might be. They went to another graphic. So, we're a little bit spoiled today, no doubt about it, in today's society and information and technology and everything else. And it's exciting and it's scary all at the same time. That's for sure. But that's why it's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward with streaming and, how games and who's going to own rights to this and that and what to watch and what ratings are going to be like for, various sports. We talked about golf is down 20%, partly because LIV and PGA are split. So that's not ideal for them. NFL ratings have been very good. The NBA ratings, I think, have been decent. The WNBA ratings are going to go up with Caitlin Clark, who was on Saturday Night Live on Saturday, if you didn't notice that. She is a superstar without even being in the WNBA yet, which makes sense. The ratings for college women's basketball were better than the men. The national championship game, 4 million more people watched the women's game than the men's game.
Yeah.
Now, I think that's going to be a short-lived thing.
Yeah.
But that still is what it is. And some other sports are kind of just waning a little bit. Their ratings are about okay. Maybe they've dipped a little bit. So, the NFL is the big one. Major League Baseball, I haven't seen their ratings recently, how well they're doing. I think last year their ratings were up a little bit. And I don't know how they fully grasp all this because, if you figure out people are watching baseball, but what about the length of time they're watching baseball?
Yeah.
Because I've got a feeling the length of time that people are spending watching games is less. But that would be my thinking in regards to watching on regular TV. But the way to compensate for that is people have it with them so they can watch at the restaurant when they should be talking to their loved one across from the table. And so forth and so on. So that might make up for the screen time you're not getting while you're at home watching because you're watching it on your portable, as you talked about earlier. So maybe there's just as much time spent watching these sporting events. It's just that it's kind of broken up more into segments. Like, hey, I watched a little bit when I was home, and then, okay, we got to a destination an hour away, and now I'm watching the second half, and so forth and so on, which I think we've all done.
We were watching a basketball game on a bar on Broadway in Nashville. It doesn't matter where you're at. Like, you can, if you really want to watch it and find it, you can watch it.
You can find it, yeah.
So, I don't know how they calculate.
Yeah, like time spent. I don't know how they figure out the time spent listening part. That used to be, I would think, easier. Now it have to be a little bit harder, I think. But of course, we know that there's spies in every electronic device, so it's actually pretty easy. Have a great
They know
day.
where you're at.
Yeah, they know
all the time.
They know when you pick your nose and when you go to the bathroom. They know a lot about you.
State, regional, and national sports talk on your schedule. The Sports Ticket Podcast. Subscribe via Apple, Google, and TuneIn Podcasts or sunflowerstateradio.com.